Hi everyone, I'm Emma, a nutritionist for A.Vogel, and today I'm doing a video blog on a topic of 7 surprising foods that could be draining your energy. So if you like some of the topics that I'm talking about and you want to hear more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also remember to click the bell icon so you get notifications as I do new videos. So this topic is around foods that could be draining your energy. So whether you're waking up tired or you're finding as the day goes on you're getting some afternoon slumps, either way it can be really frustrating if you're feeling overtired. And I just want to talk over some foods that could actually be contributing to that, some that you might not expect as well. So first on my list is cereal. So as a nation, especially in the UK, we often turn to either cereal or toast for breakfast. So when it comes to breakfast cereals, these items are quite processed. And that means that the carbohydrates have been processed and stripped of some of their kind of healthy qualities, and it means that they can also end up high in sugar as a result of the carbs being processed, but also some extra sugar being added in to help improve the taste. So sugar is one thing that we need to look out for in cereal, and I would urge you all to read your food labels, not just the traffic light labels on the front, but actually delving a little deeper and reading the labels on the back as well to try and get a better idea of the sugar content. So first of all, the sugar content of the cereal itself to start with, but then also perhaps what you're pairing your cereal with. So I'm not against cereal completely, if that's something you like and enjoy, that's okay. But what you can do to help counteract some of the sugar is increase more protein and more healthy fats, and that helps to slow the release of the sugar into your body. So perhaps some yogurt, some seeds, some nuts, peanut butter, and good quality Greek yogurt are something that you could perhaps have alongside your cereal to help improve that effect it has on your body. Next we have fruit smoothies, which are on my list to discuss. So as much as smoothies are really beneficial and you can work towards your 5 a day by including them, again it goes back to some of the pre-packaged options, and you'll find that these tend to be a little higher in sugar than if you were making it at home, and that's partly again possibly because they've been a bit processed, and along the way some of the fibre content has been stripped from the fruit, which helps kind of counteract some of the sugar. The other issue is a lot of the pre-packed smoothies are primarily fruit, whereas at home you can really help to make your own. So I don't just use fruit, I chuck in some vegetables, some Greek yogurt is another good one to add in. Your nuts and seeds, if you've got a good blender, they'll just blitz up, and that's you upping all your protein, your fibre and your fat content to help balance the carbohydrate content, and obviously it'll be jam-packed full of a wider range of nutrients as well if you've got different ingredients in there. Also another bonus, it'll be more filling as well. Partly the problem with sugar is you have these highs and lows in energy, so initially you might get that boost in your energy, but come an hour or so later your energy levels start to crash, whereas if we have protein and fat, it helps to slow the release of that sugar into your system so you have more sustained energy. Okay, so number 3 on the list, which I've actually mentioned a few times already, so it'll be good to discuss this in a bit more detail, is your yogurt. So yogurt's a brilliant ingredient. I'm all for yogurt as long as it's good quality. So yogurt has been fermented, which means positive cultures of bacteria have been allowed to grow. So that's one plus point. But again, the problem tends to lie when these items have been more processed. So what I'd say to look out for is yogurts label low fat or flavoured yogurts. So when the fat is stripped from dairy, this is often to entice people, but it's not something that I would personally go for. So low fat often means that first of all it's been processed, but also the other ingredients have often been added in, because when you take out the naturally occurring fats, you're affecting the flavour. So that needs to improve, and sugar and sweeteners and things are often added. And then flavoured yogurts just always will have some sort of sweeteners or sugar or something added to affect the flavour. So I tend to recommend that you go for good quality Greek yoghurt, none of the low fat option, keep it as whole and pure as possible almost. And then if you want to flavour it yourself, by all means, blitz up some whole fruits, berries or something just with their skins on, or cinnamon or your seeds or anything you want to kind of jazz it up with, and inject a bit of colour as well. So you can do all that from home. You don't need to buy pre-flavoured yoghurt options. So next on my list to discuss that might be affecting your energy levels is caffeine. So this might seem a little counterintuitive. You think, oh, caffeine gives me an energy boost. But actually, much like sugar, it's only for so long. It's very short-lived, the effects of caffeine. So over time, that can produce peaks and troughs in your energy levels. And the other problem with caffeine is it can also drain your nutrient levels as well when you go to the loo. So over time you can lose essential minerals such as your magnesium, which is really an important place in supporting your energy levels. So some of my advice around the caffeine is obviously to try and limit caffeine if you can. Stick to some uncaffeinated, decaffeinated teas and coffees. Ones that are naturally low in caffeine would be my advice. So I love a Rooibos tea, which is a lovely red tea, and it's naturally low in caffeine. Also, the other option is if you're struggling to give up your caffeine habit and quickly, fair enough, I don't agree with doing anything quickly when it comes to weaning yourself off things. So if you're getting there gradually but you're still worried that your nutrient supply may be taking a hit, what you can do is introduce a multi-nutrient as well. So one that I would recommend is our balanced mineral drink, and it contains some essential minerals including magnesium, potassium, calcium and zinc, as well as your vitamin D, which is an essential vitamin. So you can introduce this as well as trying to gradually reduce your caffeine intake. So there is a link to the balanced mineral drink in the description on our video if you're wanting to have a look. Next on my list to watch out for is foods labelled as low-calorie options. So this might entice you initially, and you may assume, oh, that's a healthy option, but actually any foods labelled low calorie, first of all, they are more processed, which, as you'll know by now, I tend to encourage that we avoid as much as possible. The other thing is, for me personally, it's not all about calories, within reason to some extent, but we shouldn't be meticulously calorie counting and getting really stressed by this. It's really calories versus nutrients in my book, and nutrients do win every time. So don't worry so much about your calories, it's all about eating your fresh foods. If you're eating fresh foods and cooking from fresh, eating those good foods, calories should be able to take a back step. So picking your foods as well as employing good eating habits and techniques. If you do all of that, your body will naturally be able to tell you when you're full and what your body needs. So for me, I would skip past the low calorie options and just head to the fresh foods in the supermarket. Next on my list is red meat. So red meat's a bit of a go-to for people who are worried that they're low in iron, and quite rightly so. Iron is definitely linked to our energy levels, and red meat, quite rightly so, is a good source of iron. However, there is some issues with your red meat by eating lots of it. It is quite heavy on your digestive system, so it's harder to digest, and that may have an influence on some of the other foods that you're eating as well, if your system is struggling to make the most of all the food you're eating. So if you're worried that you're low in iron, my advice first of all is to help support your stomach. So we need strong stomach acid in order to break down the foods we eat, including your red meat, and to release all the nutrients that it contains and absorb them into our system. So if you're worried about iron and you've previously been told you're low in iron, My advice would be to support your stomach, as something might not be quite right there. It's very common for people to have kind of weak gastric secretions. So using some herbal bitters such as your centurium can help to gently support your stomach and ensure that your digestive functions are at their strongest. Again, there's a little link for the centurium in the description if you want a bit more advice on those bitters. So first of all, supporting your stomach can help indirectly with your iron levels. But then there are also lots of plant-based sources of iron that can help to increase your levels. So don't always assume that red meat, is the only go-to. So lots of your leafy greens, your lentils, your seeds, they're all very high in iron as well. So you can incorporate more of those into your diet again. More fresh foods and your iron levels should hopefully gradually improve. Finally on my list to discuss is your white foods. So flour, for example, you might think, well, flour is such a staple, how could that possibly be diminishing my energy? So flours throughout your pasta and all your baked goods, your breads and things. But actually these white grains are again very processed. So they don't start off white, they become white as they're gradually processed more and more and more. They're stripped of all the grain itself is stripped of all the outer layers, and that's where the majority of all the nutrients lie. So this is a problem with all your white foods. And again, as the nutrients are stripped, you're just left with higher carbohydrate content, and that's again where you can get these peaks and troughs in your energy levels. We need the kind of whole food with all the nutrients, the fibre intact, and also to help in order to help support our energy levels longer term. So again, it goes back to trying more of your whole grains, such as your buckwheat, your millet, your quinoa, to name a few, your brown rice, wherever possible, just to help get better energy from those carbohydrate-based foods. So that's all today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all soon for our next topic. Bye.